Good afternoon, Mr. Selowa.
Good afternoon, Chair, and everyone.
Yes. Let me apologize for this extended and late start. But I'm pleased that you are there. And I believe that there is an affidavit which you sent.
Yes, there is an affidavit that was sent to you guys.
Yes. Advocate Mele has just gone out to get copies of that affidavit. But in the meantime, in the interest of time, I will want to know from you whether you are going to take the oath or whether you are going to affirm.
I'll be taking an oath.
In that case, I am going to swear you in, which is something that usually we have been doing through Advocate Nele. But I'm just as competent as he is to do so. So, I'm now going to put the oath to you. Do you swear that the evidence that you are going to give to this project is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing else but the truth? And if that is so, please raise your right hand in camera and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you very much. You have now been sworn in, and Mr. Sandile July is going to take you through your testimony and indicate to us through you what areas you are going to traverse.
Yeah.
All right.
Good morning, Mr. Mr. Selowa.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon, yes. Mr. Selowa, you submitted, or you made a submission on the 30th of April, 2021. Is that right?
That's correct.
And then that submission, you amplified it by converting it to an affidavit. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But that affidavit has not been commissioned before a commissioner of oath, at least the copy that I have.
That's correct.
But that affidavit is the one that is before you, and you stand by the contents of that affidavit.
That's correct.
Okay. So in that affidavit, you cover a number of topics. You start with your early cricketing career with Northerns and Titans B, right?
Correct.
And then you go to 2004, you talk about Coca-Cola Kayama Jola under 19, and under 19, sorry, yes?
Correct.
And then you deal with the period 2005 and 2007, which talks to you playing for Dolphins.
That's correct.
And then in 2008, you are with the Northerns. And in 2010, you are with Northwest.
Correct.
And 2011 to 2012, you are with SWD.
That's correct.
And then you in 2013 go to Uganda.
That's correct.
So it's Atteridgeville to Uganda. So I want you to take us through that journey. How did you leave Atteridgeville and end up in Uganda?
I'll start with my early
cricketing days, and I'll take you and everyone else through the journey of how I ended up in Kampala. So as a young man, I mean, growing up, I had dreams and aspirations to play for the Titans and for the Proteas. But I believe that dream was fairly cut short, and I'll state my reasons why I say that. I started playing cricket at the age of 6, born and bred in Atteridgeville in Pretoria. And I represented Northerns through all the age groups, you know, from under 10 to under 19, and the Titans B side. I was honored to have gotten a bursary through the Northerns Cricket Union, and I went to St. Albans College in Pretoria. I was really grateful for the opportunity, because not many are, you know, privileged to get bursaries, you know, to go to these high-end schools. And I was really happy and excited, you know, looking forward to this journey in this private school. And the school, you know, had all the great sporting facilities, and was really excited, you know. You know, the transition from a township school to a private school was very difficult, to be quite honest. You know, first it's the language and the demographics, and you know, people also treated differently, you know, from the rich and the not so rich. You know, the teachers and the coaches treated everyone differently, you know, to those who paid school fees and those who didn't. So the very attitude, you know, we were also labeled as bursary boys, you know, because we were there on sporting bursaries, and that same attitude, you know, of, you know, treating these guys that didn't pay for school fees, you know, it was also brought upon on the coaches as well. So I remember with one of the instances, you know, we had a coach by the name of Barry Detert. And I remember, you know, we've had a few altercations where the treatment, you know, he didn't treat us, you know, the black guys really well. You know, in some instances, you know, it was all good when we won the games for the team and the school, and, you know, the school looked good. But when we didn't win the games, you know, would take a fall for the teams, and you'd call us monkeys, you know, and I felt that was very demeaning and very racist as well. You know, we've on most occasions would raise it up with our parents, and went to, you know, the headmaster and the housemasters about the treatment that we're receiving from this man. And in most occasions it was just brushed off. And getting to training as well, you know, after these incidences, you know, he either wouldn't talk to us, or he'd just blatantly just ignore us, you know. And that's also what I experienced, you know, in the school with the treatment with this one particular coach. And yeah, my parents did address the issues and stuff. So in my matric year in 2004, you know, I was also offered a great opportunity, you know, to go play for TUCS, which is the University of Pretoria. And I was named, I was the first Black African to represent the club. And it was white dominated. And the coach in that year was Shafiq Abrahams, who I think as well had just started coaching the team, you know, and this was also, you know, to prepare, you know, for me to play for that club was also to prepare for the under-19 Coca-Cola week, which was played later on in the year, because the cricket weeks are usually played in November. So, you know, getting that club experience, I thought, it would be a wonderful experience, and I'd be ahead of my peers, you know, and I was looking forward to this, you know, to this experience, you know, playing for, back then, or still is, it was one of the best, you know, clubs in the country, which, I mean, won a number of club champs trophies, and I was looking forward to that. You know, the likes of AB Faf played for the club, Kriya van Wyk, who played for the club as well. I mean, Neil Wagner, who's also playing for New Zealand, played for the club as well. So, you know, I thought this is a wonderful opportunity, but there was an incident that happened, you know, during training, which I'd say, you know, turned me off, you know, from looking forward to playing for the club, where the senior players, you know, the way they just welcomed the new guys and the way they treated the new guys, it didn't go well with me, where during one practice, had an altercation with one of the senior players, and it was during it after practice, and yeah, we had an argument, and, you know, the guys started swearing at me, and, you know, told me words like, you know, I'm still young, you know, I can't be back chatting. I've just arrived in the club. Who the hell am I to think that I can just get here and do as I please, you know? That, to me, I didn't take kind to that. And it's partially one of the reasons why I also left the club as well, you know, and yeah, Shafiq couldn't do anything, you know, he was just silent. So I think, you know, the white senior players had more power, you know, and yeah, I left the club in 2004 after the Coke week, but we'll get to that. So while I was still in matric as well, so I had asked Mr. Brian Frost if Northerns had the cricket academy, so that after matric I can go to the academy and just purely focus on my cricket, and it was just cricket alone. And unfortunately there wasn't an academy, and so the only reason I could just stay at the province was for tax to offer me a bursary of 6,000, of which my parents couldn't really afford, and they couldn't afford to cover the tuitions, and that also added on me leaving. And during that, I, you know, sent emails around to various provinces, you know, to find out if they've got academies and stuff. So the Dolphins had an academy, and, you know, throughout the year, I kept on communicating with Mr. J. Naidu, who was the then convener of selectors for the SA Under-19 team. So moving to that same year, you know, I was selected for the Northerns Under-19 to represent them in the Kayamajol Under-19 week. It's a big tournament, and that's where dreams are made, I believe. You know, I mean, if you make that SA Under-19 team, a lot of doors open, you know, as a young cricketer, and you are given the opportunity, you know, to play franchise cricket, and your career will excel from there, you know, if you put in the good performances. So this tournament, the northern side, we had a pretty competitive team. You know, I won't lie about that. It was a good team. We thought we were going to win the tournament, and I had represented the South Africa Under-17 side, which was selected from the Under-17 tournament. You know, I had played for the South Africa Under-17 team on 2 consecutive years in 2002 and 2003. So I had been on 2 Kayamajola weeks prior to 2004. So this was my 3rd occasion playing in the tournament, and I believe that I had enough experience, and I had good chances of playing making the South Africa Under-19 team. And on both occasions where I had represented the South Africa Under-17 side, I was a top order batsman who was a keeper as well. And I took pride in what I did, both with the bat and with the gloves. And during this tournament, after being selected for the Northern's Under-19 team, our team management was Colin Detmer and Hiro Ramohale. And after one of our games, you know, we had played badly against Gauteng, and after one of the team meetings, I had asked if I could have a chat with the management, and they said, "Okay, no worries, no problem. You can have the meeting with us, and let's hear what you have to say and stuff." So I had asked, you know, the team management, you know, after everyone had left, that, you know, I personally feel underused, you know, batting at number 7, and I feel like my role is just as a wicket keeper, and I believe I can offer more with the bat, batting at the top order. And I stated my reasons why I believe that, you know, and one of them were there's the South Africa Under-19 team being selected from this tournament, and I believe I've got a good chance, you know, batting at the top. And
can I interject? I'm sorry. Can you explain for a person like me who's not a cricketer, when you say you told the management that you felt underused batting at number 7, and you asked them whether it was be possible for you to bat at the top of the order. Now
Okay.
what does that mean?
This simply means...
Can you explain that to me in English?
Yes, Chairman. I'll try and put it in simpler English.
Yeah.
That basically means I was batting at number 7, and in me saying that I'd like to bat at the top of the order, so that means either 1, 2, 3, or 4. So, as stated, in the both years that I represented South Africa Under-17, I was batting in the top 4, and that is the top order. And
that is in terms of calling who should open the batting in a particular match or game.
Yes.
Okay, I see.
Yes. So I did, you know,
respectfully request, you know, to bat in the top 4, and I was confident that I would do well there, because I felt really, really underused. And well, I was told that the team didn't revolve around me. I was arrogant and I was not a team player. And to my surprise, they knew that the previous years I had batted at the top. And to my surprise, The next day, I wasn't in the starting 11, and I went and asked the management, why am I not playing? And the answer that I got was that they were trying new things, and not much was really explained. And I felt that the true reason, personally, that in me not being played was that there were three top order batsmen that were white, and they were pushed, to be selected for the under-19 team, for the South Africa under-19 team. And I strongly believed that they were being, pushed and being given a better opportunity than the black players that were in the team. That's how I felt. On that day, the same gentleman that I was talking about, Mr. J. Naidu, who was the convener of selectors, on the same day of the game, came to the game, and they come and just walk around, scouting. And he came and asked, why am I not playing? And I just said that, the management said they're trying something new, and that's why I'm not playing. And that furthered our discussion about my move to the Dolphins, to Durban in 2005. So the SA Under-19 team was selected, and I didn't make the team. And on the evening that the team was announced, myself, Mr. Naidu, and my dad had a meeting, and I told him that I would take up the offer to go down to Durban and join the academy and to study as well, because they offered me a full bursary.
Can you please explain, when you say these players were pushed, are you suggesting that you were a better player than them?
I believed I was better than them, because I opened SA Under 17 2003. I opened the batting with Francois Leclerc. He was my batting partner. He batted 1, I batted 2, and we did well. But in the under 19s, they pushed them, and we were never given opportunities as black players, to go out there and express ourselves. And that's what it felt like, that they are pushing other guys with the hope of them making it ahead of us. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
2005 to 2007, I was given the opportunity to go to the Dolphins Academy in Durban and to study as well. And it was a huge adjustment, to my life, and the academy was going well, and I got a call up to come represent the Dolphins B-side, and it was exciting. I made my first class debut in February 2006 against Border. I scored, I think I scored 16, I can't remember. I took 3 catches as well. Because back in 2005, 6, 7, first class cricket, we only played about 6 games throughout the season. So after that game, I was 12th man for most of the games, and in the games that I played, felt that, you know, I was just filling in the quota. I mean, it's either I was 12th man or I was playing and batting at number 7. So, you know, I just felt that, you know, I was just playing because of the color of my skin, to be quite honest. And
can I ask? Say we're 12 men. Is my understanding correct to say that you were the reserve? You know, in soccer, for instance, there are 11 players, and the 12th player would be a reserve, somebody who's waiting
yes.
to be called in if one of the players gets injured or something, or yeah.
Yes, that's correct, Che. If you're 12th man, you're not part of the starting 11.
Yes.
So you're sitting out and carrying drinks.
But I would have expected, from what you say, I would have expected that in that match you played in Durban against Border, you did fairly well. And it seems to me it comes as a paradox that having done so well, then you just get excluded. Can you explain that, if you are able to? Or am I getting it wrongly?
Che, cricket, as they say, cricket is about numbers and stats, and if you score runs, you've got a better chance of making a team, and if you're out of form and not performing, you're most likely not to be in the team. So, I think the first innings I scored 16, and I fairly believe that wasn't good. And you know, I kept on working hard, training, and while on tour as well, you know, I did do my best in trying to make it into the playing 11.
I mean, 16 out of 25 balls, I can't understand this. Was that a bad score? 16 balls out of 25. Yeah, should you have got 25 out of 25? Or?
No, it was a 3-day game, so 16 out of 25 balls. I mean, it's not good. It's not good.
And three catches.
But the point that I'm trying to make in that comparison is that, you know, if we look at it in black and white, you know, the white players are given more of an opportunity, more of a long run to prove themselves, compared to the coloreds, the Indians and the blacks. That's where I'm coming from in terms of when you're a player of color, there's almost like a need to keep on proving yourself. You know, you keep on trying to impress that you are good enough to belong. That's how we feel as players, where the white cricketers are given longevity, and when they fail, it's okay, you still have another chance. Whereas as a black cricketer, you fail, you are either dropped or you are demoted from the batting lineup, you know, and that's what is happening.
I understand.
And that's the point I'm trying to get across.
So you are saying there's no question of a potential. You are dropped instantly when you have not performed well, as opposed to your white counterparts, who it would be understood that it was in that particular game, but this person has got a potential.
To be quite honest, that's how we do feel, that we do have the potential. We do have the potential and the capabilities, but there's always blurred lines where it's not explained to us to say, listen, we are giving you a run this season. This is your season as a batsman. Go out there, express yourself. play your game. That's the equal opportunity that we're talking about, where in most instances, white cricketers are given that opportunity. They are given the rope to say, that's it. You know, no matter how many times you fail, you'll still get another opportunity. Whereas as a black cricketer, you get there, you perform, you've done well, you stay in the team. That's why they keep questioning. I mean, every time a black cricketer fails, when is this guy going to perform? When is this guy ever going to perform? You know, that's the pressures that we are under. I hope that that's clear.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So after
I left the Dolphins Academy and the Dolphins B-side, I did finish my studies, and I saw that my career wasn't progressing in Durban, so I chose to go back home to Pretoria, and I called Mr. Brian Frost, who was the head of amateur cricket at Northern's Cricket Union, and he said, "Look, you always welcome, you know, to come back home." And the coach then, when I got back home, was Mr. Malibongo Maketa. The decision to come back home I felt it was the right one, but I felt that the coach and I were not on the same page for various reasons. So when I went back home in 2008, I felt that I felt that my struggle as a black cricketer started, you know, and they started to show. And I understood the concept of, you know, working hard and being rewarded. But however, I didn't understand the concept that, you know, some of the white cricketers having left high school and being offered franchise contracts, you know, ahead of the guys that had been playing season in, season out in the B-sides. I just couldn't understand that, and that really frustrated me. And it is happening throughout the country, to be quite honest, where you get players that have been playing season in, season out in the B-sides, and they're not being offered contracts. And some of the white guys just finished high school and they're being offered franchise contracts. And I feel that that's very discouraging. And that's something that's always been happening in the system. And getting a chance is almost close to never. And as Omar Henry said in his submission, you know, they don't know the amount of damage they've done. At the end of the career, you just sit there and you just look back, and the damage has already been done psychologically and emotionally as well. So I just find that concept of, you know, guys not doing the yards, you know, getting contracts straight after high school, very degrading, you know, to the person that's been playing for long.
So,
And
if a franchise was A side, the B team, what was it called?
So the A side was called the Titans, and the B side was just called the Northern's Men. It was just the Northern's B side. Yes.
Okay. Is that the province?
Yes. So you get the A side, which is the Titans in the same province as Northerns. So Easterns and Northerns, they feed into the Titans team, the A side.
Okay. So if you play for Northerns or Easterns, it is a promotion if you get to be selected to play for a franchise.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So that whole concept
of guys, you know, getting franchise contracts ahead of other people, I found that very, very degrading and discouraging. So, you know, we're not paid to play. We didn't have contracts, and you know, it was very sad that, you know, some of us have to catch taxis to training. You know, we have to ask for financial aid from our parents, and I remember speaking to Mr. Eddie Khoza, you know, who had organized me like a coaching job to do private coaching at Northerns, and you know, and it was what, 150 rands per session, so that, you know, I can make money to get to training. So towards the end of the season, I had performed pretty well at club level and Titans B, Northern's B side, and I was also selected to represent the South Africa University team. The Titans coach back then was Mr. Richard Pybers, who then approached me, you know, after these performances. I had a good season, and he encouraged me, you know, to keep pushing, and hopefully, you know, they'll consider me in the contract talks, you know, for the Titans for the following season. But they went and signed Mangi Mosehle, who was from Easterns as well. And I wasn't really upset because, you know, there's always a plan B, because you never know at the end of the season if it is true that, you know, they are going to sign you or not. So I had been in talks with Northwest Cricket that season. So the Titans contract didn't come through, or a semi-pro contract at Northerns didn't come through. So I decided, you know, to move to Northwest, to Potchefstroom. They offered me, I mean, a contract of 2,500 a month, which was something. It was better than, you know, having to ask my parents for financial aid, you know, to go to training and stuff. So I did get in contact with Mr. Monty Jacobs at Northwest, you know, to find out if, you know, they would sign me. And they said, okay, we're looking for a keeper batsman for the coming season, and we're happy to sign you. So when that contract negotiation happened, it was during off season, and I was playing club cricket in England. So when I came back, I went straight to Northwest, where I played for Northwest for that season. There's a few things that in this season which were uncovered, you know, which were very uncomfortable, you know, to say the least, very uncomfortable to accept, and didn't understand why and how they were happening. But, you know, as a new guy in the province, you talk to the guys that are there, and you try and find out how things done in this province, and how do we go about things. And I started asking questions, You know, I started asking questions throughout the season, you know, and one of the things that I did uncover was I had a chat with one of the ladies that worked in the finance department. And I think Cricket South Africa was doing an audit, a financial audit on Northwest that season. And I just wanted to find out, you know, how much I was earning. The initial contract was 2,500. And the lady told me that I was supposed to earn 15,000. And the rest of the money was split amongst the white players in the province that played in the same team. And I tried to question why and how this is possible, because now that means that, I mean, Cricket South Africa has been lied to. And so I chose not to take that forward in fear of, you know, being victimized, because I was playing then. And I let that go. And during the season as well, you know, we're playing against SWD in Rustenburg. And I was, in every team, there's always cliques where black players will sit with black players and the whites will sit with the whites. That happens. And some of the white guys, you know, asked me that, you know, I never go out with them, you know. So I just decided that night that, you know what, guys, yeah, we can go out for a drink. It's not a problem. And that's when I realized that there is actually a huge clique, you know, in these outings where team selection and everything is discussed over a couple of drinks and who gets to play when. That's where the team is named, where I found myself, you know, asking, you know, how is this possible, where the starting 11 is selected over a couple of drinks, and there's the coach, there's the captain, and there's a couple of senior players. And that's when Mr. Monty Jacobs, you know, told me that he feels that the quota system was not doing cricket any justice, because if he had it his way, the quota system wouldn't exist and would have a better team, you know, without having some of the black players that we had in our team. And he said that some of the players in his team wouldn't play. So that's when I realized that, you know, some people are not for the greater good of the game. And they're not serving the game in the right direction. You know, I mean, there's no such thing as a good quota, or there's no such thing as a good black, if I should put it that way. You know, that made me question that, you know, okay, this is the first time I go out with you guys. I mean, what more do you guys discuss, you know, when I'm not here? Because in you saying that I'm a good quota, then that means that when I'm not here, then that means that I'm never part of the team that you guys select over these drinks. So that made me realize that, yeah, this is not a good environment. And we had contract chats as well, you know, towards the end of that season, and I was promised a contract. And I did ask them to put everything on blueprint, which they failed. And they said, okay, just, you know, go to England for the off season and we'll discuss everything while you're there. So I said, no, I feel that I need to work more on my game, you know, for the next season, because I mean, contracts are coming out and I'd like to join the academy for this off season so that I can work on my game. And Well, they said, we'll chat. That's what they said. And that was the last I heard of Monty and Northwest Cricket, you know. And while I was in England, I was in contact with an agent, Mpho, who then went to speak to SWD in Pretoria. So that's 20.
Before you go to SWD, there are two issues that you are discussing under Northwest that you mentioned. One is the White House issue.
Yes.
And the other issue is that the 15,000, not only were you told that you were supposed to earn 15,000, CSA was told that you were earning 15,000.
That's correct. Let me address the issue of the White House.
Yeah.
So, at Northwest, so there's a house just outside the stadium. It's called the White House because it's a house where black cricketers stay. I mean, across when this Black Lives Matter
movement started, I'll get back to the White House. When the Black Lives Matter movement started, I mean, we heard stories about, you know, players in the Free State staying at the stadium, players in Boland staying at the stadium. So this was more or less something of those sort, where Northwest cricket, they wanted me to stay at the White House, and fortunately I was there with my dad. And my dad simply said, there's no ways that my son is going to stay in these conditions, because they were not suitable conditions. I mean, they were pretty shocking, and my dad didn't feel the need for me to stay there. So we went and had a meeting with Mr. Jacques Fall, who was the then CEO. And after that, we managed to come to some sort of an agreement that I won't be staying there, because, I mean, the white players stayed in townhouses. Why can't I stay in a townhouse? Why do I have to stay at the White House? So that matter was resolved. I was moved to a townhouse, and yeah, the season started. The issue of the salary, the lady that worked at finance did mention that CSA, I mean, from the audit, Northwest was, you know, supposed to give me that 15,000, of which it wasn't. So basically, like I said, the union was, I don't know, either cooking the books or lying, you know, to CSA about the contracts and the payment of the players, you know. And I mean, most of the black players in the team as well were not getting paid. So I was from another province, so they drafted a contract, and that was it. I hope I've answered that. Okay. 2011, 2012, after speaking to my agent, I got offered a semi-pro contract at SWD, and this is where a journey of 1,002 kilometers started. Upon my arrival, I was met by the CEO of Betis Kennedy, and I was very excited to head down to Oudtshoorn and, you know, give my career another fighting chance. Very excited, looking forward to it. I was happy I was in a new team, new environment. The next day I was introduced to the rest of the team, my teammate. And I was told that I was the first choice keeper. They went on and signed 2 other keepers, which didn't make sense to me. But yeah, I was the first choice keeper. You know, they said that I was bringing a lot of experience, new energy into the team environment. You know, those words of affirmation. I thought I was at the right place. Little did I know that by the end of the season, I would have played 4 games in total, which was 1 3-day game, 1 50 over game, and 2 T20 games. Little did I know, but I kept on working hard throughout the season. You know, I believed that there was a chance, you know, to make the Warriors team. At that time, I think they had Dili, who was their keeper, and I believed that I could take him on, you know, and that was another franchise, you know, opportunity. So I kept on working hard, I put in the runs at club level. I mean, I had an average of 72, I think, and I played the 1 3-day game, yeah, that I was selected. You know, I think they were just, you know, trying out new things as well. You know, I felt that I was going to get another opportunity after, you know, doing so well at club level. And I thought I was going to get another opportunity, at least a longer run, you know, to prove myself, you know, to find my feet, you know, in the team. So then I started noticing a pattern after not playing a few games at SWD. Then I started questioning, you know, on why am I not played? You know, I was told that the problem was the selectors. They had a reason why I'm not playing. And when I went and asked the selectors, I was told that the CEO didn't want me to play. When I went to the CEO went and said, look, just be patient, your turn will come. But I mean, through the midst of all these things, you know, you're getting frustrated. You're getting homesick, you're far from home, and you're here with a goal, and you're being taken from post to pillar. So in total, like I said, I played 1 3-day game, 1 50 over game, and 2 T2020s out of 13 games in the respective formats. So that's 4 games out of 39 games. You know, I only played 4 the whole season. So funny enough, I got an award for Batsman of the Season, which didn't make sense. But the other 2 keepers, I believe I could take them on, and they were only averaging 19, but one of them also got an opportunity to play for the Warriors. Where, you know, when you're sitting where I'm sitting now, it's an opportunity that I could have it's an opportunity I could have got had I been given the opportunity to play. It was very frustrating. It was emotionally draining. The excuses that, you know, I was given, you know, from the coach, the CEO, the convener of selector, Mr. Aventir. And to my surprise, when I spoke to Mr. Aventir, you know, the convener selector, you know, he told me that the CEO wanted to extend my contract, you know, for the next season. You know, I broke down in that meeting, I remember. And I couldn't believe, you know, that these guys were making a fool out of me. You know, you're not playing me, but you're willing to give me a contract for the next season. It didn't make sense. So I walked out of that meeting with Mr. Aventir, you know, having said that, you know what, I think it'll be best if you offered this contract to someone local. You know, I think they'll deserve it, you know, because that's when I had made a decision that I no longer want to play this game. I'm emotionally drained. I did, however, communicate with SACA and raise my grievances. I remember I spoke to JP van Wyk, who then came back and told me that SACA doesn't get involved in team selections. I also had a chat with my agent, to ask him to come to Oudtshoorn, to have a meeting. Let's have a meeting and, find a way forward. And my agent didn't come, blatantly said from my mouth to God's ears. I had realized that, I had done well for my club, and, there was that little fight left, and I went and approached Albertus. We had a one-on-one, and I asked him, let's have a heart-to-heart session here. What do you think I should do as a player in my situation? What do you think I should do? And, he said, look, keep working hard and, keep piling those runs and your opportunity will still come. But I said, look, I'm at a point where I'm frustrated. I don't know what to do. And I'd like to offer more, in the SWD side. And I came up with a suggestion when I was speaking to Albertus. I said to him that, how's about I go on a loan to Free State and I'll still be signed under SWD, but I go on a loan to Free State, because I'm not getting the opportunity to play first-class cricket here. And I think personally it'll be a right move as well, because if I'm not playing for SWD, then the Warriors' dream dies with it, with the SWD setup. How's about I go on loan to Free State and then I play for Free State and then I'll play for the Knights, And the answer I got was, no, that's impossible. It's not going to happen. So I said, okay, fine. Then can I please be released from my contract? Because I've been here for 4 months and nothing is happening. Can I please be released from my contract and I can, go back home and go look for a job? And the answer was no, couldn't happen. And then I said, okay, cool. Then I'm just gonna leave the province. Then I left the province, I went to Bloem because my wife was in Bloem, and I went there. I told the guys that I'm leaving. They can keep the contract. And then I got to Bloem, and then I got a call from Albertus saying that no, I can't do that. I can't just leave my contract. They'll sue me. So I had to drive back and finish the remainder of the season playing club cricket. After my SWD stint, I went back home, looked for a job, started working. And while I had stopped, playing cricket professionally, I was still playing club cricket over the weekends for TET. And I remember I saw on LinkedIn that Johan Rudolph, who was my coach when I was under 11 in Northerns, was the coach for Uganda cricket. I sent him a message, to congratulate him. And he responded immediately and asked me what I'm doing with my life. And I said, I've found a job. I'm not playing professionally anymore. And he said, look, do you feel that you'll be able to push for another year or two, you know, playing cricket. And I explained to him, I told him my story about what happened to me, you know, throughout my career in cricket South Africa, and I'm thinking of, you know, calling it quits. And he managed to persuade me to come to Uganda. I went and lived in Uganda for a year and qualified for citizenship. And I managed to play for Uganda in a couple of the World Cup qualifiers. And I had a good relationship with the Ugandan team, because I remember when coming back to the time I was in Northwest, they used to come, the Uganda team used to come and have coaching clinics and train, you know, to prepare for the World Cup qualifiers at Northwest in Poch. So I knew the guy, and I'd spoken to them, you know, throughout the years, and it made the transition for me to go to Uganda a whole lot easier, because I knew the team as well. I knew the guys. The Uganda stint was it was a great experience. You know, from a young age, I believed that I will play international cricket. I had it in me, and for who, it didn't really matter to me who I played international cricket for. The fact that, you know, I can go to bed now knowing that I have played international cricket and I gave it my all through the 20 years of my cricket experience. You know, I'm really proud of that, you know, and I know that there's a lot of black cricketers in South Africa who unfortunately won't represent their country and will never have a taste of international cricket, you know, because I believe there's a lot of gatekeepers in this game that we love. A lot of gatekeepers and a lot of black cricketers with talent will never make it, you know, simply because of the guys that think and believe that this is a white-dominated sport, and black cricketers, we are just there to add numbers. I do honestly appreciate all those unions that I've played for throughout my career. I appreciate the opportunities that they gave me, but I feel as a black cricketer, there's a lot of injustice that was done to make sure that I wasn't looked after. And I go back to what Mr. Omar Henry said, the psychological damage that this has done is irreversible. And I pray and hope that the next generation will be looked after, and we don't have to hear another Mpho Selowa sitting at this kind of commission telling his story. South Africa belongs to South Africans. That's what I believe, and all South Africans should be treated equally, whether you are black, whether you are white, Indian, and colored. And in this game that we love, it's become so hard, you know, for Africans to make it, simply because of the gatekeepers. And I thank you all for listening to my story, and that's where my affidavit ends.
Well, thank you very much. If I may just ask, because I hear you speak quite positively about your experiences with the Ugandan team. So I just want to ask, like, from your view, what are the main differences between the team you were playing with in Uganda and the teams you've played with in South Africa? Like, what made that environment more positive for you?
That's a good question. we got to understand that in South Africa,
we're dealing with issues of race, where there's a whole lot of people that believe that the quota system is the reason why we've never won a World Cup, and it's those color issues that makes the whole thing very difficult. That makes the whole experience of being one in a team very difficult. In most cases, you don't even feel that you belong, you know. And like I mentioned in the beginning, that if players of color were given the same run as the white people, we wouldn't have these issues, I believe, because that's equality. So playing for Uganda, with the experience that I had, I mean, I went there with an open mind, you know, and I knew that I wouldn't experience racism because we were all black in the team. It made things a whole lot comfortable than playing here in South Africa as well. And I hope that answered you for me, sir.
Yes, thank you.
At paragraph 4 of your affidavit on page 2, you say, as a young man, I've always had dreams to represent Proteas, but that dream was cut short way before it took off. Yeah. So your dream was to play for the national team, right?
Yes, sir.
And
yes.
I just want to find out the people, if you do know, the people that you played with in all these unions, or even at club level or at school, those that you know, where are they now? You've never played for Protea. Where are your counterparts?
The guys that I grew up playing with,
yeah,
where are they now?
Yes.
I'll start by saying this from my experience, and I'll come to those guys. I had always told myself that
once I'm done with the game, after all these experiences that I went through, I want nothing to do with the game. It's very emotional wrecking. It's psychologically damaging. So what happens is when the guys retire, they go back into the coaching structures and they become coaches. They're still stuck in the same system that oppressed them while they were still playing cricket. I didn't want to do that. Some of them are doing a great job. Don't get me wrong. They're doing a great job. But personally, I felt going back and becoming a coach was just going to be in the same hands of the same people that oppressed me for 20 plus years. So there wasn't going to be any growth. Some of them stopped playing years ago. They're in the townships, not doing much. Some of them are coaches. Some of them work for CSA. Some of the white guys that I played with play for New Zealand. Some play for Netherlands. So that's where we are.
In paragraph 22 of your affidavit, you seem to have encountered the difficulties that you mentioned there. But I was struck by the fact that in paragraph 22, the last sentence you mentioned that the coach then was Mr. Malibongwe Maketa. Now, in your experience, in that experience, that episode, and generally, seeing that CSA is a system, it seems, have you found that in your experience and in the experience of others, that it has made a lot of difference if the coaches are black, like Mr. Malibongwe Maketa, or in some instances, because they are in the system, the experience has not been different? In other words, did you find that sometimes it doesn't assist that the coach is black if the coach does not have a view that there is a need for transformation? Or, yeah.
Chair, to answer that question, there are good black coaches out there, and they do believe in transforming the game. But we have to acknowledge and realize that their bosses are white, and they have to answer to their bosses, and they have to please the bosses in terms of who gets given the opportunities. And I believe that these coaches do go back and give feedback to their bosses in terms of what they think. But in most cases, or what it looks like, they're not being heard. I'll give a typical example where Northern's Cricket Union has got a black president, of which he knows our struggle because he was in the system as well. When the Black Lives Matter movement started, he went on and said that he wasn't aware of what has been happening in Northern's cricket. I don't believe that at all. Do I then go back and say that I feel like his speech was written by someone else? Because given the experience, he knows what's been happening. He knows what the past players have been going through. He knows what the likes of Aaron Pangiso, Ethin Balati have been going through. But sometimes they just choose to turn a blind eye. We can also say that for the fear of victimization, because their jobs are on the line as well. But when do we put a full stop to all of this and say, but enough is enough? We need to give everyone a fair, equal opportunity. Thank you.
Let me also just ask two more questions. I just want to understand, firstly, I know that you said at some point you approached JP van Wyk, from SACA to just relate your experiences and find out what more you can do, to just have a playing chance. So my question with regards to that is whether you approached, any person within CSA structures, or did it end with you, speaking to someone from SACA? So that's the first question. So I just want to understand, whether, you sought any relief from CSA in any way. And then secondly, this issue of accommodation and white players having different accommodation to black players, it's not the first time it's coming up in your submission. It also came up in Tammy Zolegile's submission, where he also stated that, as black players, they lived in a different accommodation compared to the lavish accommodation that white players lived in. So I just want to understand more about that, this issue of accommodation. Is it, at the time, obviously you're talking about 2010, was it a common, thing, with regards to the disparities with accommodation, and what informed that? And whether, if it's something that's still currently, happening. Yeah, so those are just the two questions. One on, whether you approached CSA structures. Two, just this issue with the differences in accommodation between white and black players. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. SACA is a cricketers union, and I didn't speak to anyone else at CSA, because we were told that if we've got any grievances, any issues, we speak to SACA. That's what we were told, and that's why I spoke to JP van Wyk. That's to answer the SACA question. With the accommodation, it's true. Nothing has changed. You get, like I said, Boland, you find players staying at stadiums. Bloem, Free State, players are staying at the grandstand. There's accommodation there for players. Northwest, there was the White House. The white players get preference, they get put into townhouses where black players are just put at stadiums like they're doing you a favor. The excuse is you can stay at the stadium so that you're not late for training. You get all these sorts of excuses, and you're still not paid. You still feel that they're doing you a favor. Because, for some, it takes about 2 taxis to get to one training session. So the union is saving money by making these guys stay at stadiums while our white players stay in townhouses and are well looked after.
Now I'm trying to picture what you are trying to convey to me in paragraph 29 of your affidavit. This White House, which I believe was anything but a White House, such as we know White House to be in history. Now, you say the conditions were quite shocking. Just give me an idea.
It wasn't a place, to be quite honest, it's not a place where you should put someone who's inspiring to be a professional sportsman. You shouldn't do that. And anyone, whether it's someone that works in your administration team, or someone that coaches in the province, or an athlete, or your professional player, you don't do that. You don't put someone up in a stadium. You just don't do that. Look after the players. These players are an asset to your union, if we could put it that way. If you look after them, they'll look after you as well in terms of the performances. You want to go to bed, comfortable, not being able to, not worrying about anything as a sportsman, if I could put it that way. If we had things our way, as human beings, You know, if we didn't have problems that we have now, life would be a whole lot easier. And, you know, and as a sportsman, we all know that sports is more mental than physical. So the other day, the prof was talking about nutrition. I mean, if you're paying someone 1,000 rand a month, how do you expect them to bring 100% to training? With what nutrition? If you're not paying anyone to play the sport that they love, any sport of that matter, how do you expect them to excel nutrition-wise? Accommodation. I mean, it has to be a place where you can say, look, I'm here to rest.
Now, thank you for that answer. I've been thinking about what you say in paragraph 27 of your affidavit, and I've been, I mean, about what you were told by this African lady. And I know, I mean, look, somebody might say, that's hearsay. But assuming for argument's sake, that what she said was true, both in terms of how much you should have been earning and how much you actually earned, for whatever reason that you were not given the money that you should have been earning. As I understood your evidence, the remainder of what you should have been earning was distributed among your white counterparts. Now, assuming the correctness of what she says there, have you ever sat down to quantify how much you were robbed of? And I'm using that as a phrase of indicating that what should have come to you was wrongfully not made available to you. Have you calculated the difference between what you actually earned and what you ought to have earned in a period of time? Yeah.
No, I chose not to
for some reason, because it's disheartening, and it was actually depressing. You know, I mean, to think of it, I've never thought that far as to calculate how much I could have made. I really can't quantify it, if I could put it that way. Yeah. I chose not to.
You might have to do that because we might look at whether we should not make a recommendation for reparations. I'm not saying that it is within our terms of reference, but you know, as an illustration, I mean, as much as it should be breaking your heart to do so, it is something that perhaps the board would want to hear, to the extent that it shows what the board has approved should be our mandate. The mandate is to look at whether race and gender discrimination has had an impact, and if it has, to what extent it has done so.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a question which you probably would feel that it is not within your jurisdiction to give a view on? What is your sense of female cricket in South Africa? do you have a view as a player, both here and in Uganda? One of the issues we're looking into is gender discrimination in the sporting code called cricket. I don't know whether you have got any views about it.
I'm sorry, Che, I didn't quite get that. Can you please repeat that? I just heard
I just wanted to know whether you have got any views about the state of cricket in South Africa, insofar as it might be impacted upon by gender discrimination, or whether it's an area you have not actually looked at.
I was listening to the other lady the other day who was the manager of the ladies South Africa team, and it almost as if it's almost as if it sounds like a similar thing that's happening in the Proteas men's side, where there's still issues, you know, amongst, you know, the players color-wise, and just that some won't speak about these things. And that's why I feel that sometimes I wish the current players would have come out so that we can determine if things have really changed for the good or for the worse. That's how I feel. But the current state of our cricket at the moment in South Africa, we're going into a new structure of 13 provinces that are coming back, and I've seen that they've started to employ a whole lot of Black African coaches, which is good. I think, I don't know, let me rephrase this. Question is, are they doing it for the greater of the good of the game? Or are they just doing lip service? That is a question that CSA needs to answer, because there's no point in doing lip service and trying to fool us who know what is actually happening in the system.
Have you seen anything in CSA that would persuade you to come back from Uganda?
No, nothing.
Yeah. And I suppose that says it all. On that note, there's one question from Mr. July.
Just one question, Mpho. At paragraph 14 and 15 and 18, there's a theme there, you being overlooked, having played for under 17. Do you think you were overlooked because you were black, or you were overlooked because you failed to perform up to the standards that were expected of you to play for the under 19? Because to me, it makes sense. If you played for under 17, you should play for under 19. If you performed in the same way that you were performing under 17. So what do you think could have been the reason for you not to be selected for under 19?
I'll first start by saying that it wasn't by fluke or by luck I've played for all these teams, or I've represented these provinces. there's a whole lot of hard work that went in. And I personally believed that I was good enough for the green and gold. I personally believed that had I been backed more, believed in more, I would have made it. And a huge part of me believes that the fact that I'm very straightforward and I talk, and I'm also Black, a strong part of me believes that I didn't make it because of that, my skin color. It's not about quota or the targets. I believe I was good enough. I mean, I played South Africa hockey as well. That wasn't by luck. It wasn't by luck. So I believe 100% that I would have made it had I been given a fair amount of opportunity.
Thanks, Mpho, for that. I guess just lastly, before we let you go, I must ask, now that you've, come forward and you have told your story, we just want to know, like, what changes would you, now like to see in the game? And I know you've touched on it a bit, during your submissions, but, just to sort of summarize, what do you hope happens, after, now that you've told your story, officially on a platform designed specifically for that?
Okay, it's a very valid question. I've got a few points. What would I like to see change? I'd like for Cricket South Africa, to start looking after schools cricket, from the bottom up, meaning that, I mean, our Proteas, our Protea future stars, are down there. Let's look after those kids, and make sure that they don't experience what your Ethim Balati, your Aaron Pangiso, your Tamito Lekile, your Mpho Selowa have experienced in the past. We need to do away with discrimination, the racism in the schools first. We need to do away with the racism within this sport that we love. We need kids with a clear mind, given a fair amount of opportunity, whether Black, white, Indian, colored, equal opportunities, so that they can express their potential. I'd honestly like to see that happening, not people being selected because they are mates with whoever, not people getting positions at the top level because they are friends with whoever. That needs to stop. I'd like to see that change. If we're saying pound for pound, then get someone that's qualified in those positions, and if we are saying that cricket is a very statistical game, let's get stats in, let's get guys that are in the team that can perform for the greater good of the game. We can't go back and forth and blame everything on quota systems and targets. That's not on. That's not on. And it was very, very disappointing to hear the submission from AfriForum about the statement that they're saying that targets and quotas are the reason why we've never won a World Cup. I mean, there was 11 players, there was 11 human beings on that field in every one of those World Cups. Let's put the color aside. There was 11 guys that were there because of merit. So that's what I'd like to see change in Cricket South Africa moving forward. Let's have equal opportunities for everyone on all platforms.
In fact, it's not like before the quotas were introduced that cricket won the World Cup. Even when it was only white players who played, they did not win the World Cup.
So it goes to show that the problem is deep-rooted. So we need to do something about that.
We need to do something about that.
Well, elingapheliyo liyahlola. Something that does not end is a bad omen. Thank you very much, Mpho. I didn't know that a number of participants in this process have been following the process from its inception. And I mean, I get amazed every time a participant sits where you are sitting or is on the podium. They say, as Professor so-and-so. And I say, yeah, but that was last week. So people have been following this thing. And we are pleased to hear that, you know, people have been following what has been said, and are able to make what they have heard up to this point as some kind of reference frame to either validate what they say or, you know, to put their point and say, but I don't agree with so-and-so. And that helps us immensely to keep this entire project tight so that when we come to the end and write our report and make recommendations, we can be sure that whoever comes and has stepped up to the podium to do, you know, as you have just done, it is a well-rounded kind of presentation because we have taken into account what you have heard before and you have engaged it in your mind before you came to us. And that makes it very, very, I mean, it's quite heartening to me and my colleagues to know that this is a process that is being followed by those who responded firstly to a call for submissions, but who really are participating in the process because they feel it's a process whose time has now come. And we hope that everybody else is going to have that kind of attitude and everybody will rise to the occasion. And with that, I have to thank you. I don't take it for granted. There are many things that you would otherwise have done. And all I can say is that Uganda is richer for having a person like you, and we hope that we are not poorer for it. And that one day, perhaps after our report, you will be persuaded, as I asked, to say, well, it looks like now after that SJN project and what I see on the ground, it is now time to come, because your richness in terms of experience in the playing of the game is going to be needed when you have to impart that, you know, that experience to the kids, black and white, colored and Indian, who are coming up to make South Africa a better place to live in and to play the sporting cricket code in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair, and the team. I'd like to take this moment. I'm not going to be long to thank you guys for this good initiative, and I believe that a whole lot of good will come out of this. And I thank you. I thank you.
Thank you. We are adjourned for the day. And tomorrow we will start any time between 10 and 10:30. We are adjourned.